So I'm going to jump right in because this is going to be about a 20 to 25 minute movement session. We're going to be breezing through a number of different movements and exercises. But what I'm going to be doing is recommending sets and reps you can use to progress towards a dragon squat. This is a very, very complex and challenging bodyweight skill that requires a lot of both strength, mobility, and especially knee stability. Okay, so keep in mind that I'm going to be going from some very beginner style movements and postures to some very advanced ones, showing you what could be a very long journey in a relatively short period of time. Be patient with this stuff if you do intend to learn a dragon squat, and take this slow. Never work through pain. Always push a little bit through discomfort. But if anything's ever painful, stop, take a step back, assess where you're at and what you need to do to move forward. I'm going to be providing you the guidance that you need to go from zero to a full dragon squat. Okay, we're going to be talking about mobility checks and the necessary range of motion to get a dragon squat. We're going to be going through some active mobility and strength work to actually work out and like get a good session in to train for a dragon squat, no matter where you are at in your journey and how advanced you are in your practice. And then I'm going to take you through 4 skills progressions, or basically 3 prerequisites before the final dragon squat, which is a dragon squat shoulder tap. Okay. Again, we're going to start with some pretty simple mobility checks, and we can use this as a brief warm up to get ourselves into more advanced movements, more challenging movements. The first one we're going to start with is called rock the baby. So you're going to start in a seated position, legs straight out in front of you. From the side, you want to create a nice L shape. So legs are straight. If you have trouble sitting with a straight spine in this position, you can bend your knees slightly or even put a pillow or some blocks under your knees if needed. But you want to get as nice, clean angles as possible in that L position, okay? I'm going to start with my right leg, bringing my knee into my chest. I'm going to catch my foot in my elbow and interlace my hands, holding the knee in and holding the foot in, interlacing my fingers, and then rocking this leg back and forth, rocking the baby, okay? Try and sit with a nice straight spine as you do this. If it's really challenging to get your shin into your chest, you can just gently kind of wrap your arms around your shin and just get it as close as possible. But make sure you're bringing that foot in nice and close and you're getting that knee in nice and close and sitting up as tall and straight as you can. Start breathing into the movement. And keep your straight leg nice and active. Foot flexed, toes pointed up towards the ceiling, thighs engaged, quads squeezed lightly. And just keep rocking, okay? When you're ready, you can switch sides. Again, there's a lot of movements I'm going to be taking you through today, so I'm going to be kind of breezing through these. But if you want to stop and stick with any one of these because they feel good for you, feel free. Okay. So rock the baby is a pretty good warm-up exercise if you're doing any sort of dragon squat training or just lower body training in general that involves external rotation. And now here's our mobility check. Once you're finished with your rock the baby, you're going to place your shin down, crossing your ankle behind the opposite knee, or if possible, if it feels comfortable and you can keep your knee down, it's not too high up in the air, but you can keep it down. I want you to actually bring that foot all the way up into your hip. So from the side, instead of the knee being just over the ankle being just over the knee, you're going to bring it all the way up into the hip. From here, you're going to take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to walk your fingertips forward, coming to a figure 4 forward fold. Okay. Now, if you're not getting nearly as deep into this position as me, if these are already quite challenging for you, do not worry. Continue working on your rock the baby. Continue working on the forward fold. And over time, you'll start to get more range of motion. You'll start to get deeper into it. You can grab your foot or your toes. You can use it for a bit of help to get a bit deeper. Okay. So once you have held that for a few minutes, your mobility check's going to look like this. You're in your figure 4 forward fold, and all you're going to do is roll onto your side so that your foot is now flat on the ground. Your leg is straight, and you've ideally caught your foot. Okay, if you can catch your foot and you can hold this position, you've got the necessary range of motion for a dragon squat, because that is the bottom position. So again, if I come into my figure 4 forward fold, I rock onto my side, I point my toe, I can come up out of that position. And that's actually the positive of your dragon squat. I'm not recommending you try that right now, but I just want to show you that if you can get into that position, big check mark, you've got the necessary range of motion or flexibility to do this skill. Now it's just about adding on top of that the strength and mobility through that range of motion to be able to squat back up. Now, that is much easier said than done, but I'm going to take you through a series of exercises we can use to start building that strength, active mobility, and stability on top of that flexibility. Okay. So getting into our active mobility and strength drills, our first one here is rocking lunges. Okay. We're going to start in a standing position. We're going to take a big step forward and then slowly lunge, driving our knee very far forward so it passes well beyond the toes. Okay. What we're aiming to do is mobilize the ankles here, because this is super important in a dragon squat. The knee passes well beyond the toes. So we're going to take a joint by joint approach, first addressing the ankles and then the knees and hips as we move through these exercises. Okay. So rocking forward in your lunge, coming back to a basic lunge, and then stepping back to standing. Stepping to a lunge, rocking forward, stretching through the ankle and the calf muscle, rocking back, and then stepping back, and repeating that for 12 repetitions on each side, or a total of about 24 for 3 sets. Okay. Those are your rocking lunges. First active mobility drill I would recommend that you do. Second active mobility drill I recommend for this is the world's greatest stretch. For this one, we're going to be starting in a high plank. We're going to be stepping one foot. I'm going to start with my left, so it's easiest for you to see. You're going to step that foot to the outside of the hand on the same side of your body. Okay. So once you're in this position, make sure that your hips stay low to the ground and your back leg stays straight. So you're not sagging through that back knee. Your quad's very active and you're sinking your hips down towards the floor. So I'm squeezing my glute, squeezing my quad, sinking my hips down, but staying strong in this position. Once you're here, you're going to inhale to open your chest and reach straight up towards the sky. And then exhale to reach down and feed your arm underneath of your planted arm. Okay. So from a different angle, it's going to look like this. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, reaching down and under. Inhale up. Exhale, reaching down and under. Okay. If you've got a lot of flexibility and mobility, your hips are really open, you can try this same movement, but sinking down onto the wrists. And you're definitely going to want to aim to be able to do this as a prerequisite for your dragon squat. If you're down on your elbows, it's the same movement. Inhale up, exhale down and under. Inhale up, exhale down and under. Okay. Remember to keep those hips low, keep that back leg active and straight. Okay. It's super important. Next one we've got is piked leg raises. Okay. So this one is really critical to build the compression strength and the hip flexor strength necessary for that leg that stays straight and actually wraps back and around the squatting leg. So as we do our dragon squat, of course, our squatting leg has to be really strong, but that floating leg also has to be really strong. We need super strong hip flexors, a super strong core, and great compression to be able to get this skill. This exercise is going to get you there. Again, for all of these, 3 sets by 12 repetitions per side. That applies for all 4 of these active mobility and strength drills we're going to go through. For your piked leg raises, we're going to be starting in our seated position with our legs straight. For this one, we're going to point the toes, start with a nice straight spine as best we can. Take a deep inhale. And then as we exhale, slowly walking the fingertips forward towards the heels. Now, the farther you walk your fingertips forward, the more challenging this exercise is going to be. The closer your fingertips are to your hips, the easier this is going to be. We're going to be alternating legs on this, coming to whatever distance with the fingertips works best for you, and then lifting one leg up as high as we can and lowering down. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale up, inhale down. If you want a challenge, walk the fingertips forward. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale up, inhale down. Going for 12 repetitions each side for 3 sets, okay? It's going to build a ton of core strength, hip flexor strength, and compression, or actively folding forward, okay? The 4th and final active mobility exercise that I'll take you through today is curtsy lunges, or a modified deep curtsy lunge. Keep in mind that I want you to be very mindful of your knees and just your lower body in general. These are going to start to incorporate a lot of knee stability required here. This is a great way to build that knee stability, okay? But you just want to be mindful if you're experiencing little aches and pains in the knees, make sure you're picking the variation that works best for you, okay? So we're going to start standing for our curtsy lunge. We're going to lift one foot. We're going to cross it behind our standing leg. We're going to plant the toe, and then we're going to drop the knee down, coming to this twisted lunge position in the bottom, and then coming back up. Again, bringing the toe back behind us, bringing the knee down into our twisted lunge, and then coming back up. If this is already very challenging for you, I want you to stick with this variation. Go for 12 repetitions per side, 3 sets of that exercise, okay? If this feels good for you and you feel like you can go a little bit further, we're going to go for a deep curtsy lunge. So that toe is going to reach much farther out. We're going to bring the knee down. We're going to actually sit the hips down now so that our knees are roughly stacked over one another. And then we're going to gently fold forward over that knee before slowly raising our chest back up, lifting the hips, and then pushing back to standing. Again, on the other side, crossing the leg behind, planting the toe, bringing the knee down, bringing the hips down, gently folding over the top knee, lifting the chest back up, lifting the hips, coming back to standing. One more on either side, smoothing it out. Okay. If you're starting to work on those deep curtsy lunges, you can do a lot of sets and reps. You are in a great place to start getting serious about dragon squat training. Again, these exercises I'm taking you through, it's not like you can practice these for a couple of weeks and get a dragon squat. This is a skill that it took me a year to get, and I already had a lot of strength and mobility. Take this slow, be mindful with your journey, and enjoy every step of the way. I promise you it will be fulfilling even before you get to advanced skills like your dragon squat. The last part of this is 4 skill progressions, or basically 3 prerequisites before your final dragon squat, or what's actually called the dragon squat shoulder tap. The first prerequisite skill is a pistol squat, which looks like this. Another on the other side. Okay. Pistol squats, you can tell just by visually looking at that how a pistol squat translates into a dragon squat. The only difference between the two is really crossing that straight leg behind and lowering down. Now, obviously not an easy change, but pistol squats, getting really good at them, is going to translate really well into a dragon squat. So if you don't have your pistol squat yet, then it's going to be really, really challenging to get your dragon squat. And to get there, you want to be working on lower body strength through full range of motion. So ass to grass, body weight squats, things like box step ups and whatnot. Aim to get towards at least a few sets of 5 to 10 pistol squats per side before going for the full dragon squat. Okay. The next skill progression you want to start working towards once you've mastered a pistol squat is the toe grab dragon squat, which looks something like this. Starting standing, we're going to lift the knee. We're going to wrap that leg around behind. We're going to start squatting down as our body leans towards the side, planting the fingertips down on the ground for balance, hooking the toe of our straight leg, and then sitting down into the bottom of our dragon squat position here, holding briefly at the bottom before using our fingertips to help us squat back up to standing. Okay. One more time on the opposite side, crossing the leg behind us, bringing the fingertips down for balance, hooking the toe, straightening the leg, catching the knee in the armpit, as you can see here, holding in the bottom position briefly, and then using our fingertips to squat back up. Okay. Starting to get into some pretty advanced progressions here. If you're looking at this and thinking, Jesus Christ, my hips don't do that, or Jesus, my knees would not like that, don't worry. Again, take this slow. I'm just showing you what the journey could look like for you over a longer period. Okay. Once you're starting to get really good at toe grab dragons, you're pretty damn close to your full dragon squat, which looks something like this. Okay. It's obviously a very similar movement pattern. We're just not using the fingertips for balance or to hook that big toe. And the full dragon squat, what you can actually do is catch the knee in your armpit to help you in that bottom range of motion. Technically, this is still a dragon squat, and then we would come back up, but it's a little bit easier than the final variation I'm about to show you, because the bottom range of motion is the toughest, and you can use your knee in your armpit to help you in that bottom range before coming back up. Okay. Now, our final skill progression, the final dragon squat progression, is called a dragon squat shoulder tap. And if you've been following me for a bit and you've seen some of my content, you are probably seeing me do this variation, which in all honesty, I still have not mastered. I'm still working on this to this day, but it looks something like this. We're going to lift the knee up as high as we can into the chest, using the arms overhead for balance, wrapping the floating leg around our squatting leg, reaching those toes out as far as we can, lowering down with control, reaching for our pointed toes, tapping the shoulder down to the ground. Notice that my knee is now actually above my armpit versus the last variation I had it in the armpit. And then once I tap down, I'm going to squat back up. One more time on the opposite side. Okay. Now, the reason why I said I haven't mastered that yet is because I'm still trying to control myself at the very bottom so that I don't need to lay down on the floor and use the floor quite so much in that final shoulder tap at the bottom. So it could potentially take me months to get from that shoulder tap to a more mastered or more advanced version of that final progression I just showed you. And that's kind of the challenge and the beauty of bodyweight training in general, is that small variations in movement pattern can actually be massively different in terms of strength and mobility requirements, and can take a long time to progress from one to the other. Getting from a pistol squat all the way to a dragon squat took me a year, and it could take some people a lot less time if you've got a good coach and somebody to take you through things like this. It took me a long time to figure out how all these movement patterns play into a dragon squat. Or it could take more time depending on your frequency of training and consistency and all those things, depending on your mindset and whatnot. But the really exciting thing about bodyweight training, the reason why I love it so much, why I love coaching it, why I love practicing it myself, is because every time you come back, every little step along the way is something new. Versus, just if we're just squatting with a barbell on our back, increasing in our capacity for squats just means we might throw an extra plate on the bar, and we're never actually changing the way in which we move our body. We're never actually learning more about how our body functions and how our body works. And so calisthenics, animal flow, yoga, bodyweight training in general, personally, I find more exciting, more motivating. There's more variety to it. It can be done anywhere, anytime. It really just takes a little bit more knowledge about how to get there and what to do along the journey, as well as the patience to know that your body will adapt, that it can do incredibly remarkable things if you just put in the time, if you put in the focus and the energy to getting there.